Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing Mount Joy and their record, Rearrange Us. This is the sophomore effort from the 5-piece LA indie rock band, Mount Joy, a band who I don't really know much about. I'm coming into this project with fresh ears, no idea what their debut record sounded like, and because of that, I typically keep expectations fairly low for new bands I have minimal exposure to. However, my expectations for this album were already surpassed after catching a glimpse of Mount Joy's sound on their single Death, which came out earlier in 2020. They captured my attention with not only a fun, snappy sing-along chorus, but also pushing this summery vibe that was enough to get me interested in checking out this album's end product. And well, now that we have this end product, it greets us with an interesting concept of loving somebody and having that love rearrange us. On the surface, that doesn't sound too deep, but if you think about it long enough, it's pretty cool because we might be rearranging the people that we meet or form relationships with, or possibly closing the door on potential relationships, all because of how we conduct ourselves, how we view ourselves with religion or other things. Now, with my half-assed interpretation of the title of the record out of the way, you can tell that things are pretty broad, and that does allow for a lot of wiggle room when it comes to things lyrically and musically. Narrowing in the scope sonically, however, that's when we get a record that hones its sights on a familiar sound, especially if you've listened to any indie rock or folk act over the past 10 years. It only takes listening to the opening track, Bug Eyes, to realize that, hey, yeah, this is like the Lumineers meeting Vampire Weekend. This is what a song by them would sound like. We have that folk instrumentation, a slow build to the composition. Eventually, the song does pick up after the 2-minute mark once the bass and drums make their entry. Despite that, though, this is an ambitious little tune that voyages into a number of sonic passages that keep the chorus melody a focal point. And for Mount Joy, what I'm looking for them in this record is really just a general direction of what they could do for their own songs and make an identity for themselves. Unfortunately, though, the next few tracks don't really state that case very well. The title track, Have Faith, and My Vibe, all three of those are short, they're underwhelming, both lyrically and compositionally. This record thankfully comes back alive again with a streak of solid tunes towards the middle portion. We have a track, Let Loose, that kicks things off. It has a summery groove, bright and sunny guitars, a slick and bracing keyboard. The song starts and ends somewhere that's actually intelligible, making for a climactic and dynamic experience. And like the track Let Loose, we have another head-nodding groove with Come With Me, another one of my favorite cuts on here. This time the outro explodes with a Killers-like group dynamic, akin to all these things that I've done. And like I previously mentioned with the song Death, that was what got me into this record. Again, it is summery. It has a bit more of an abrasive guitar strumming to it, though it doesn't sacrifice the tune's catchiness. And then we move into the tracks Every Holiday and Acrobats, which I feel like the singer of this band loves to talk about Christmas, or at least the seasonal affect or the depression that comes along with it. The former of the cuts, Every Holiday, is a bit jazzier with its horn interlude. Meanwhile, the latter, Acrobats, plays like a current swell song. I'm thinking of Bad News without as much melodic shape. If you don't know Current Swell, that is a pretty deep dive on my part, but I'm going to pick another Canadian rock band that many people might not know, Half Moon Run. They have a bit of an influence on this record, not saying that Mount Joy would know of them. Either way, I just get a Half Moon Run vibe on the song Witness, from the guitars to the vocal inflections to the piano. I guess the part that makes Mount Joy different is their less clean audio mix, the production. Moving along from there, though, we have the final 3 songs on this record, Us, Become, and Strangers. There are seamless transitions between those 3 tracks. Honestly, plays like one big song. The final of the 3, Strangers, being the strongest and most memorable. Just beautiful piano playing from Jackie. Overall, Rearrange Us, it pulls from a number of indie rock stylings and conventions of the 2010s. The instrumentation, the vocal deliveries, the lyrics. So yeah, not the most innovative sound in the game. In fact, that might be the greatest fault of this record. I'm just not getting enough individuality bleeding through these songs. The songwriting ends up being pretty insipid, and the vocals are really hard to distinguish from this band and any other indie rock act that is doing the same thing with more interesting personality, in my opinion. That being said, you know exactly what you're going to get with this album. It is sonically cohesive, similar guitar guitar and piano tones. It's a summery kind of album. If you like the Lumineers and Half Moon Run, this is an album for you. For me though, it's just an average inquiry into indie rock and folk. Some highlights, yes, a cogent narrative both sonically and lyrically, but all of this is sadly overshadowed by some dull and unadventurous singer-songwriter tropes. Personally, for me, I can't go any higher than a 5 out of 10. Pretty average. And there you have it. There is the Mountjoy record review. Make sure you sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of this music. Agree or disagree, I'm here to engage with you guys. If you'd like to leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town, I'd appreciate that very much. As always, thanks for watching, and have a rockin' day.